All right, here we go, everyone. So happy to have one of our own rock stars, Miss Ashley Courville, joining us today. We're talking about the transition of moving from retail to wholesale, also known as the broker side. So, Ashley, rock star in Louisiana, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be mindful of time today. So, how are you?
I am great. Hanging in there. It's leap day today, so we have an
That's
extra
right.
day of work
Right?
today. Yeah,
Exactly. Let's go. An extra money day, right?
that's right.
Okay, all right. So I fired you some questions and you're so humble to join us today. So let's take a look back before you came to the broker side. What were some of the struggles that you were having on the retail side before you came over?
So, I've been a mortgage lender for, I always say, like more than half my life. I hit 19 years,
Hmm.
Valentine's Day. And the majority of my career, I was a banker and I joined the broker world way back in the day before there was really any resources. I spent about 3 years running my own broker shop. There was zero resources before AIME, before anybody, right? And then so I just went back retail. I became a mama and I became retail and I was able to grow my team over there. And I really enjoyed retail for a really long time because it served the season I was in. And the season I was in was raising my small kids. And so I worked on retail and I had a little bit lower of a comp plan. And I did, like, if there was a problem, it was not my problem. DU's not working, that's on you.
Right, right,
Um, Login's not working, not on you. Oh, computer issues, IT, not me. I don't get paid enough for that, right?
right.
It served the season. At the end of being on the retail side, which was in 2023, so fairly recently, I I really struggled with, like, I have been over on that side for 10 years. I built a brand, a process, a way of handling my clients, my client experience, and I had limited control on the retail side. And
Right.
I constantly had to fight them to run my process the way I wanted. And I'd worked at a few retail lenders, and when I would be recruited and they tell me all the things, I'm very clear about my process. Everything is in writing. If I get hit by a bus, any capable loan officer could walk in and run my pipeline like that.
Oh, by far, and just to interject, Ashley, you were probably one of the most organized people when it comes to processes that I know in the business. So I know you have it spelled out, and not only that, but you have it very clearly communicated to your staff on how it's supposed to play out.
Correct. And I would communicate that very, very powerfully to my retail lenders. And they would do what? Oh, yeah, we got you. We'd support you. And I get there, and within 90 days, the famous phrase was, "You are the only one of our people who run things like this." And it would
Right.
just irk me. I told you how I ran my team. You looked at the financials, you agreed to it, and thought you could manage me out of what I've been building for a decade.
Right. Right.
And then it just wouldn't go. And so I that was my number one struggle. It's not about rates or fees
Yeah.
or products. My personal number one struggle is that I wanted to run my business the way that serves me and my clients. And that has always been a top priority. So the decision to move to the broker side was simply that I could have control from start to finish, good, bad, and the ugly.
Right, exactly. No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Was there any, because you and I, we talk to a lot of people, right? So before coming back to the broker sides, was there any hesitations? Was there any concerns about maybe some myths that you heard about the broker side that you didn't really know until you came over here and then you're like, okay, that's cool. Was there like one or two things where you're like, oh man, I just don't know?
Yeah, so there was two major concerns with the broker side. The number one thing is, I'm in South Louisiana. We have some weird income. We are Neapolitan state. We are one of the only, not one of, we are the only state in the country that runs under Neapolitan law. And most people who are listening to this are like, I don't even know what she's talking about. And so it was a struggle, even from retail to retail, getting my underwriting team to understand how our laws work, and then our income. I've got a lot of boys that work offshore that have 8 to 10 different ways of being paid on one job. They hop around a lot. So, like, I was mainly concerned about my clients being handled correctly by underwriting
Yep.
and then understanding each individual investor and their underwriting and the lack of control that is a myth. I think the lack of control over your files on the broker side. When I was on retail, I catered to my underwriters. Like I'd order them lunch every now and then. I drop them a sweet card. We'd send them Starbucks cards for coffee on us. Like we loved on them so they would love on our files, right? And I
Right.
didn't know how that worked on this side. And so that was my number one hesitation, was underwriting. And what got me over that is there's like a dozen great brokers in Louisiana who are super successful. So
Yeah.
like clearly they can get it done. So it's just
Sure.
like a story, frankly, that
Yeah.
retail tells you that you can't control it. And now being on the broker side, I know every investor underwrites different. They have an appetite that's different from one to the other, and you have to learn that. And that's the same thing in retail.
Right.
And now you have options. If one doesn't fit, they don't have an appetite for this type of client. Cool, I have
Yeah.
someone else who does. So I actually have more options and more control over that, not less.
Exactly. And the thing that I love what you said about that is we all tell ourselves certain stories, whether it's personal or business or anything like that. Because I did the same thing too when I was on the retail side for 11 years, is we would sell against a broker to say, oh, you're on an island by yourself and you don't have any support and blah, blah, blah. And then you get over here, you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm the customer now, right? Like
Mhm.
the wholesalers are making sure that I'm happy and asking if there's anything they can do to help. And oh my gosh, like everyone's going down the stream in the same direction. And that was the biggest thing that I found. I was like, oh my gosh, everyone here is on the same side. It's not sales versus
Uh,
ops,
Right.
right? That the retail side has. It's like, oh my gosh, like everyone is trying to get this deal closed. Let's go. So that's phenomenal. Okay, so not to put you on the spot, Ashley, because we've known each other for a number of years, but you know, you've got a great brand, tons of people know you. Why Summit? Why did you come over to Summit?
Oh gosh. Okay, so the benefit of Summit that I knew before is that you work with a couple of, like, there was already friends I had over here.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I have this like little bit jaded view of owners, CEOs, presidents of companies. There's only been a few who have come who has delivered on their word, right?
Right. Right.
You and Tim Pascarella. That's it.
Yep.
Everyone else that I've worked for has said one thing and delivered another. And that does not settle well with me. So I was fortunate that a couple of my friends had already worked for you. So I
Right.
was able to vet things you were saying to
Yep.
be true in their experience already with you. So that was probably the number one thing. I had a lot of trust for that. And we've had a lot of these conversations. Summit
Yep.
Lending is the only company that I have ever I've ever allowed to tag me in a Facebook post or a social media post. I untag myself from every other company I've ever worked for
Right.
because and it's mainly because I don't want to confuse my clients. I own the complete mortgage team. I
Yep.
have given the I've given you the permission to use my DBA for compliance purposes
Right.
with a agreement that it comes back to me if this, right? Like that's
Yep.
the agreement. So
Always
we're
be cool, right?
compliant.
Yep.
Yep, we're compliant, but I am the complete mortgage team. That's what my clients know me as, and I own this business. And so I don't want them to be confused when somebody from a different company, you or previous, would tag me because I'm not somebody
Right.
else. I'm the complete mortgage team. And I, again, for the most part, y'all could look at my NMLS record and who I've worked for. We don't need to talk about it.
Right.
I've never been proud to support the parent company. I've never been been comfortable because things didn't always line up. And I say
Right.
that with the exception to Tim Pascarella. We had dinner a couple of weeks ago. I worked for him many years ago, and we were just growing not at the same pace. And we always say, like, 5 years before we would have been a great fit, or 5 years after I worked there would have been a great fit.
Right.
So I want to like give that disclaimer out since this is probably going to be public. but everyone else did not deliver on what they said.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hey, I want to be mindful because I promised you 10 minutes. We got like 1 minute left. So what do you envision as your biggest opportunity moving forward on the broker side?
Yeah. Oh, so again, I always go to like when people reach out to me, everybody's level of success and where they are in their season of life is different, right? Some
Right.
want to do 300 units a year. Some like me want to work 30 hours a week. I still want to grow my business and make money, but money's not my number one object right now. My number one thing is being present for my kids, and I
Yep.
have the opportunity to do that and level up and threshold up as the season of my life changes. So the opportunity on the broker side is being able to find what works for you. On the retail side, and it does happen a little bit on the broker side, but on the retail side, they're really like you are costing them money. Most loan officers don't realize the back end of how a business runs. You may be commissioned only, but you are still a cost to any company, right?
Right.
Benefits, retirement, the employer side of the taxes,
Yep.
that's still a cost. And so if you're not and it's not one to one, right? So it's like only when I do loans, then I cost money, not necessarily to a company. And so it's harder to be able to work at your pace on the retail side. And a lot of times on the retail side, because of their systems and processes, because they have so much more compliance and so
Right.
more things, all of that, you working 30 hours a week is really not okay. So if
Right.
you're a retail loan officer who says, hey, I'd like to work a little bit less, I don't want to work 60 hours a week, the retail side's not for you. That doesn't mean we want part-time loan officers. I'm not a
Right.
part-time loan officer. I just work a really efficient time period. And today, this moment, leap year of 2024, I ain't working
Yep.
30 hours a week.
Well, basically what you're saying
But that's the goal.
is the broker platform gives you the freedom, the opportunity to go out there and not be micromanaged, that you can go out there and produce really, really great numbers. And it doesn't matter if you do it in 20 hours, 30 hours, or if it takes you 50 hours, whatever it is, but you can customize what
Yeah.
you want to do and you're not micromanaged and have, all these things coming at you. You truly have the freedom to go out there, brand yourself, right?
Yeah.
Doing your
Mhm.
DBA, going out there, branding yourself so everyone can see what a rock star Ashley is. So, Ashley, thank you so much. I know I kind of sprung this on you, so thank you so
Okay.
much. I did. I know you got a dentist appointment to go to, so thank you so much for hanging out with us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Okay.
Thanks, Bo. Appreciate it.
All right, girl. We'll see you.
Bye.